guys, and welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, we'll be having a chat with Mrs. FPLA Plus and her plans for Game Week 9. However, before we do, please remember to like, smash that subscribe button, and follow us on Twitter at FPL_A Plus. Also, feel free to join our FPL mini league. Hey there, Mrs. FPLA Plus, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
How has your FPL season been so far?
It's been going good actually.
And how long have you been playing FPL?
This is my first season.
Oh wow, brilliant. So perhaps let's have a look at some interesting points from your first season. Having a look at Game Week 1, which is on the left hand side. You started off with 78 points. That is a brilliant start to this to the FPL season with a game week rank of 386,000. Absolutely brilliant. I noticed that you had Salah, Haaland and Kane in your team. That was a freemium team, despite many content creators and experts not recommending to go with a freemium team because it might unbalance your team elsewhere, but you seem to have done quite well. And then looking at the screen on the right, Game Week 8, I see you've still had a freemium team, just De Bruyne in place of Salah. You've got De Bruyne, Haaland and Kane. Wow, that actually looks quite strong. Do you want to give us your thoughts behind why you decided to go with the freemium?
Well, they're all three world-class players and I felt that I didn't want to miss out. I wanted all three of them in my team, so that's what I did.
Okay, yeah, and I can see they delivered for you when it meant. And I see also that you have got Saliba in your team that scored a mammoth 15 points. Give us the thought process behind choosing Saliba.
Saliba was one of Arsenal's stars and also well placed, so I just had to put him in.
Yes, no, definitely. He's been in incredible form, and yeah, his price has definitely sort of made it easier to get him into your team. So overall, I see your current rank is a great 351,000 in the world out of 10 million managers, over 10 million in actual fact. And if I had to ask you, what is your goal in terms of rank for the end of the season? What would you say? What would you be happy with?
Firstly, I'd like to beat you.
Okay.
And then I would like to end up within the top 10,000. That would be amazing for me.
Oh wow. Okay. No, that's actually very very good to set those goals, and I think to end off around the 10,000 rank out of over 10 million players, I think that would be absolutely amazing, and even more so in your first season playing FPL. So I think that's great goals to set. I don't know about the first goal. Let's see how the season goes. But yeah, I think that's absolutely amazing. Okay, and then with Game Week 8, your team looks pretty solid. What is your plans for Game Week 9? Are you intending to make any transfers, or are you intending to play any chips?
Well, I decided to play my Wildcard, and I'd like to bring in the 2 players which I don't currently have.
Okay, fair enough. That sounds good. Okay, so without any further ado, let's have a look at Mrs. FPLA Plus's Game Week 9 Wildcard team. Starting at the back in defense, David Raya in goal. What's the thought process behind David Raya as the goalkeeper?
I believe Raya and Pope has the joint most saves, and in this case, Raya is a bit cheaper, so I decided to go for him instead of Pope.
Okay, fair enough. I think at 4.5 million, I think that's incredible value. And if you look at his next fixture, Game Week 9, it's against Bournemouth, who are not known to score a lot of goals. And he also makes lots of saves, as you say. So even if he's got some challenging fixtures, you can definitely count on him to rack those save points. So yeah, I think that's a pretty solid selection there. Looking at the back in defense, you've gone for João Cancelo from Manchester City, Kieran Trippier from Newcastle, and Emerson from West Ham. What is your thought process behind those 3 players?
Cancelo is a world-class player, so I just had to put him in. Trippier and Emerson, they have good fixtures, and the price is also quite good, so I decided to put them in as well.
Okay, no, great. And I think Kieran Trippier being on free kicks and also being captain, I think that also probably played a role because you'll have no rotation there.
Definitely.
Okay, no, great. I think that's a pretty solid defensive lineup there. Let's look at the midfield. In midfield, we've got Mo Salah, James Maddison, Wilfried Zaha, and Leon Bailey. That's a pretty solid midfield quartet that you've got in your team. Give us the thought process behind those 4 players that you've decided to bring in.
Salah has been a world-class player for the past 5 years, so I thought I would have to put him in. Maddison reminds me of David Beckham, and Zaha plays a bit like Messi. And Bailey has a few good fixtures as well, and he's at 4 million at the moment. 4.7 million, so that's quite valuable money, so I decided to put them in.
Okay, no, excellent. I think that's quite a compliment that you've paid to Wilfried Zaha there, comparing him to Messi. I think some of his moves would definitely sort of can be comparable. Would be interesting to see how much goals Messi has scored compared to Zaha so far this year. Hopefully somebody sort of can actually give us those facts. But that was rather interesting. And Leon Bailey definitely has been a bit hot and cold this year. But I think with his price that has dropped from 5 million to 4.7 million, it's unbelievable value. He wasn't totally nailed on, but I think he is closer to actually playing some more minutes with his recent form. And then James Maddison, I think he's been unbelievable, probably Leicester's best player. And then Mo Salah, yes, who can argue against the king? So yeah, I think that's a brilliant midfield. In up front, the forwards that you've gone for the trio of Ivan Toney, Harry Kane, and Erling Haaland. Why did you choose those 3 forwards? Give us the story.
Okay, Toney has great fixtures and also he's in great form this year.
Okay.
And Kane has always been my all-time favourite, and I know he plays Arsenal leagues and always performs well against Arsenal.
That's true.
Haaland, well, that is the star of the moment. So I just had to put him in because I have FOMO, so I just don't want to miss out.
Okay, no, fabulous. I think that's actually a brilliant. It's probably the best forward lineup that I've seen, and I think you can definitely count on them. I think all 3 of them are on penalties as well, so that definitely helps because these teams they definitely will at some point in time get penalties. So yeah, your team looks very solid. Looking at your bench, you've got goalkeeper, you've got Ward, you've got a midfielder in Andreas, 2 defenders in Guai from Crystal Palace, and Neco Williams from Nottingham Forest. So those are pretty solid. All of them start. They are reasonably nailed on as well. So yeah, so they are quite cheap, but they should be able to stand in if any of your players are injured or if they are rotated. Your team value is 101.4 million, and overall I've got to say this is one of the best wildcard teams that I've seen out there, and this team should do pretty good. So let's have a look at captaincy. Who have you captained? So at this stage, your captaincy on that is on Erling Haaland, with the vice captaincy on Harry Kane. Have you made your decision? Is it confirmed on Haaland, or are there any other options that you might switch to for captaincy?
It's definitely Haaland. He's just been amazing for the past few weeks, and I decided to choose him.
Okay, no, fantastic. Okay, no, that's great. I think overall, I think your team doesn't have any weak spots. If there was any, I'd say possibly maybe Emerson and Leon Bailey. But the fact that you've got them in allows you to field the premium attackers in Salah, Kane, and Haaland. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to afford them. So it's a decent sort of balance, that you've got there, or price to pay for it. And if Emerson and Bailey, they don't perform, you've still got a decent bench as well. So overall, I think you've compromised and negotiated your balance quite well. So yeah, I think very well done with your team selection, Mrs. FPLA Plus, and I think it should do well. Lastly, maybe before we wrap up, who is your favorite footballer in the world currently?
I think Mbappe is quite good.
Okay.
My favorite player.
Oh no, excellent. I think he's been doing excellently well, and hopefully we see him in the Premier League sometime in the future. Would that not be amazing, eh? Yes. Okay. Now, thank you very much for joining us, Mrs. FPLA Plus. All the best for you for Game Week 9 and going forward. And thank you everybody as well for joining us, and hopefully you found this video quite useful. And until next time, cheerio and good luck.